Hello and welcome to the Echo Chamber podcast. My name is Tony Groves and today we're having a proper MANEL. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Martin McMahon. Martin, you look remarkably fresh for a lad who was out with John Connors last night until the wee hours.
Listen, first day of summer has arrived, officially.
Yeah.
Outside the sunshine.
I'm looking at clouds out there.
It's just grey. It's grey in here and it's grey outside. More importantly, I'm delighted to be joined in a Tortoise Shack by writer, actor, director and activist Karl Callan.
Hello.
Karl, thanks so much for coming on the podcast,
Thank
mate.
you for having me.
Now, Karl, I know we're going to go straight in because you're the director of the short Repeal film.
Yes.
And now, it's 12 minutes and 45 seconds. And I think we spoke before we came on air and I said, of the hard cases. The sort of stuff that why repealing the Eighth Amendment actually is the humane thing to do. Why repealing the Eighth Amendment is something that, no one could actually in core comfort look and say, well, this thing actually results in people dying, women dying, husbands going without wives. And when you look at that in those little 12-minute video clips, it's a hard watch, but it actually drives the message home.
That was the whole idea, yeah. That it wasn't about sugarcoating these stories or sending out a soft message about why. It was to show the true dangers of the Eighth Amendment and why repealing the Eighth is so important. I'd done a lot of research on the film before I even started writing it. Learned from people firsthand and spoke to people that I knew. Googled a lot of stories as well and found out just how bad these situations and just how bad the Eighth Amendment can be for some women. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a film that really shone a light on these things, that really showed the dangers, the risk to their health, both mentally and physically. And in doing that, I'm hoping to reach out to people who are undecided or on the fence and bring them in towards a yes vote. So it wasn't about sugarcoating it all. It's about just straight up telling the truth with no filter or anything like that.
And you've had a huge response. You've had massive amounts of hits.
Yeah. We've had, in the first week, we had just over 100,000 views. That's between Facebook and YouTube. And just over 100,000. We've had a lot of shares. We've had a lot of comments, a lot of feedback. And, good and bad. Majority has been good, though.
But 100,000 is impressive. That's very impressive.
We were very surprised as well. Obviously, when you make these things, you hope that it's gonna reach out to a lot of people. But 100,000 in a week was beyond what we were expecting, and it's still getting shared out to this day. It's still getting more and more views.
So it's doing really well. But you have a core message here that we need to start getting the bros, the lads need to start.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Like, there's a lot of men out there that still have the attitude of this is a woman's issue, and that it doesn't affect me, and I'm not going to get bothered going out and voting. It's going to be a yes anyway.
There is a scene in the film where the doctor tells the husband that and it's quiet. There's no sound. It's just music playing over, and he's telling the husband that the wife has passed.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when you think of cases like Savita, and you think of having asked for termination and being given this is a Catholic country line, and you think of those, as I said, the hard cases, people who try to hide behind things. Oh, hard cases make bad law. Well, the alternative is Savita Halapanhavar happens again, and the Miss Y, Miss X, and all of these eternal shames and stains on our legacy. But I think when I saw that little 15 seconds of doctor talking to husband, you kind of go, yeah, lads, it's not just a women's issue.
It's not even just to it's not even just to do with a bereaved husband. Like, it's also to do with, like, this is our daughters and our sisters and our grandkids. Like, this is every woman in our lives that it affects. Yes, in the film that I chose just to focus on a bereaved husband, but it affects men in a variety of different ways. It really does. And that storyline that you referred to, that was loosely based on the Savita story. Like, the stories that I told in the film, they're not the retelling of any three people in particular. It's three stories of women as a whole, of what they've been going through. But yeah, so it does. It absolutely affects men, and that's what another thing I want to do with this film is to use the voice that this film has given me to reach out to men and try and highlight to men out there that this does affect us, and that we do, like, the role of men in this referendum is not just to stand behind women and cheer them on. It's to stand side by side with these women and to fight with them, because it's all about equality as well as free choice for women. So
I think, though, we touched on something there when you talk about equality. The real funny part is the counter reaction, is the hashtag join the rebellion, and it's this gang of lads, for want of a better term, are saying as if imagine the establishment.
It's like the Tories. Hashtag join the Tory rebellion.
Yes!
Yeah.
That's it. It's literally the Romans in the centre of Rome saying, we're the establishment, we're the rebellion. It's insanity, but it is, I hate to say it, it can be catchy to people. They go, and because we have got an awful history in this country of picking a referendum and saying, it's a good opportunity to give the government a kicking. And that's,
it does become about a lot more than just repealing the aid on women's rights. Yeah, they do use it as a platform to promote their own agendas, I guess,
And we have a history of saying, well, what did the government want? Well, I disagree. You didn't fix the potholes, so I'm voting against that. And
I just think it's kind of like a Torquemada rebellion.
It's their little fuck you to the government.
Yeah. It's like, but we do that, and we've done that consistently. So people need to understand that, no, it's not to do about, poking your local TD in the eye because he's pro-choice. It's actually about your wives, your sisters, your daughters, your aunts,
Absolutely.
I think too, there's a lot of stereotyping going on. There are a lot of, rural agricultural people who are very pro-choice, are very, very pro-choice. And these decisions they make day in, day out, in their normal lives. It's not something new to make these decisions. So I think I have this real feeling that the no voice is very amplified. And I remember the protest outside Leinster House. There was a protest outside Leinster House, and they were holding a banner with loads of little, they call it the silent majority, right?
Pictures of fetuses?
No, just people.
Okay,
but there was about 6 guys or maybe 10 guys holding this banner with maybe 100,000 little faces, people's faces. And they were speaking for the silent majority, and I looked at them and I went, no, that's the 6 Twitter accounts that are running the 100,000 Twitter accounts. That's what I thought.
and he knows he runs a lot of Russian bot accounts.
But that immediately
so just quickly logging in and out of each account.
I was thought, if you want to have a protest at Leinster House, it's about numbers. A banner with pictures is not people.
Yeah.
So if you have 10 men in a line holding a banner, that,
Well, I think,
proper protest
you touch on something really important, because it happened yesterday where we had the bishops coming out saying that if we introduce abortion, it's a slippery slope to euthanasia and eugenics.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Did you see this?
No, I haven't seen that.
So this was the story. And now, we can't laugh about it, and there were some great tweets back, because someone said, there was people, I think Marion Keyes said, she said 54 years in the UK, and sure everybody's, anybody over the age of 27 has to hide from the euthanasia needle every morning. And I think someone replied to her and said, sure Marion, my wife doesn't get out of bed without a bit of euthanasia now. And, and it just all kicked off. But it's that, Martin, you're right, the voice was amplified. A bishop says it, and all of a sudden it's in the Irish Times, and then this morning you've Pat Leahy giving out, because people are giving out saying, Pat, why are we amplifying these voices? And it's like, well, it's not an equal playing ground. It's not a level playing field. You don't need balance. I love Gavin Riley's TV3's Gavin Riley's pin tweet is balance doesn't mean actually you have to give both sides if one side is actually
much smaller.
No, or telling lies. You don't turn around and say, oh, actually, you know what? You have the right to tell lies. You don't have that right.
Well, I also think that for a lot of people now, like, you can see it setting in, this fatigue setting in.
Yeah.
It's been a long haul to this point. there are still votes there. There are still, and there is this. What is about 15% undecided? It's a.
I think it's even more than that. But
it's a big section of people.
Yeah.
But we're getting close to the wire. It's time for people to make up their minds, and particularly politicians who are sitting back saying, "I'm wrestling with my conscience." No, you're not. We all know you're not wrestling with your conscience. Come out and state your views. Say where you stand. Yeah. Say what way you're going to vote.
That's not going to happen, Martin. Politicians are actually, if they can get away with not saying anything, they will, because they don't want to upset either.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And it's all because a lot of them are there. Now, you've got some who've nailed their colours to the mast. We've had prominent people doing it, but we've also had parties saying, we're not going to put like Labour have posters up around for a yes vote. There's no Fine Gael yes vote posters. They've decided they won't do it.
I think a problem, though, with a lot of the pro-lifers, that it is a black and white issue for a lot of them. That it is as simple as it's just about the life of, or the right to life for the fetus and things like that. Where it's about so much more than that. It's about the physical, again, like the physical and mental health of the woman. It's about trusting the woman's or women's choices too, that they know what the best thing is for themselves. I think a big thing, and this is partly why I made the film as graphic as I did, is that a lot of the problem with the pro-life side of things is that they haven't lived through these experiences. They're just kind of looking at it with blinkers on from the outside without actually without really understanding what the issue is and looking at the bigger picture of it all. It's just as black and white as the right to life for the fetus, and that's it. They don't think about anything more, and that's what we need to try and bring in more.
Well, it is a very nuanced. God, it's so nuanced. It is so nuanced. And we had a little chat with Kathy Darcy here on Saturday, and I'm going to repeat this again. If a woman needs cancer treatment and she has kids at home, and they discover she's pregnant, now it's not a difficult choice for any couple to say, "Save the woman, for God's sake, save the woman. There's children at home," and. A lot of men, that's a nuanced area, but for huge amounts of men, that's a no-brainer. That's an absolute no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So there is nuances, but the decisions you make according to the nuances, for most of us, they're no-brainers.
Yeah. Well, it's about awareness. It's about understanding. Over the last few weeks, like the majority of posters that we've seen around has been for on the no side of things.
Yeah,
no, and because they do have a lot of financial backing as well.
I drive in here, and from where I'm driving, there's no posters, and I drive into this area, and there's posters everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I was coming on Georgia Street on the way here, and there was like on one pole that I seen, there was like a huge big no poster, and underneath it was just a little bit. Tiny little yes poster, so people are going to really notice that as well. Now with this fundraiser that they've done last week, where they raised $500,000, now hopefully over the next few weeks we will start to see a lot more yes posters around. But
Kathy did point out that all of the posters, what you will not see on any of these posters, is a woman.
Yeah,
there is no woman on these posters. There's none, and this is an issue about women, as you said, mother. Sisters, this is the issue, and they're narrowing the focus terribly.
There's a very simple yes poster gone up around Clontarf that I saw when it was out yesterday, and it says, "Sometimes a private matter needs public support," and that's why the lads need to get off their arses and vote, because it is, as you say, standing beside them. It is about actually making sure that we know that it's about actually doing the right thing. I keep going back to it. The UN human rights said we have terrible barbaric practices and we've had a health minister who had to apologise to people for how they were treated in this country while undergoing a crisis pregnancy. It's just not good enough. It's not acceptable that your human rights can be deemed less than. And I think there's another great little anecdote for lads who are unsure or think that they're going to use this as an opportunity or just not going to bother their arses voting. When you go to see your GP, you walk in and you sit down and you say to your GP, whatever it is, I've swollen glands, I have a chest infection or whatever it is, and you just go in and you talk to your GP. When a woman walks into her GP, she brings the Irish Constitution with her.
That's the thing.
She has to carry the Constitution into the office with her, and we all get to stand there in judgment of her. Jesus Christ, get your head out of your arses. You cannot have, there shouldn't be a third person in that room. There's no.
Well, I've seen there's a lot of conversations on Twitter where people are now talking to their families, and it's thrown up conflicts, and it's thrown,
But that's what we need, though. We need debate and
yes, we need debate, and I can't remember, was it Izzy who made the point last night? I'm not 100% sure was it Izzy who made the point last night. There are going to be people you are friends with that they're going to fundamentally disagree with you on this, and there's going to be this. There is no way that you're going to convince them. There's no way they're going to convince you, and you've got to weigh up. Do you want that relationship enough to say, look, this is as far as we can go with this conversation with this person. I need to stop and move on to somebody else. Stop trying to waste my time here.
It's like canvassers when they're knocking on doors. Like, if they get a hard no from someone, they know. It's the same with my film as well. I don't expect everyone to watch this film, despite the hardships of the stories that I show them. I don't expect everyone's going to watch it and go, right, well, now I'm voting yes. But if it brings in those one or two, if it reaches
that 15%,
exactly, that's exactly who I aimed it at. So,
following the success of this, because it has been very successful.
Thank you very much.
100,000 is very impressive.
Yeah.
What else have you got in the pipeline for us?
What's coming up next? I'm going to avoid more political films after this one. I'm going to do a nice, safe, romantic comedy next.
Oh God, no, please.
After.
Come the revolution, we're banning rom-coms. That's just not.
Hey, I'm with you on that one. I absolutely am. I do have another short that I made last year, called Julie. I shot that one around June last year that we're still in post-production for, so that should be done now in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to start pushing. I can tell you a little bit about what it's about. Yeah, so it's about a woman who, after years of being treated badly at the hands of her husband, she has reached her breaking point, and she's now fighting back. And when the film begins, she's actually they've already separated, but she's not quite over yet, and she's out for her vengeance. So she's a bit of a, how do I describe it? It's kind of like a Fatal Attraction kind of
totally
thing.
Fiction.
Oh, totally fiction. Yeah, no, this is not based on anybody real or living or dead. I can assure you of that one. But yeah, so I'm going to be starting pushing that one out into festivals now in the next few weeks, and hopefully that'll get picked up in a few places. And after Repeal, now once the referendum is over, I'm going to start writing on my next project, which is going to be my first feature.
Oh, very cool.
So so that's going to be.
Can I ask now, because we asked this, we've had a few people there, writers and directors, and we've been very lucky to talk to some mega talented people. Financing.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's the question right there. Yeah. Well, it's like, for example, Repeal and Julie, like both of those, I made myself just because I want to make films, and I had to fund it myself. So I was relying on some people I knew that were very talented, like especially in Repeal, people who I knew who really believed in repealing the Act as well, who were willing to come on board and help me with it. But yeah, I funded that one myself, and I'm still in a lot of debt as a result of it. Like, I'm under social welfare. So the quality of the film is not, it's not the most cinematic film you ever seen. But then again, that was never my intention when I made this. It wasn't. Films are generally made to entertain an audience. This film wasn't made with entertaining an audience in mind. It was aimed with one goal only, and that was to show the audience the realities of what's happening here. But as far as funding goes, yeah, so for the feature, I will be applying for funding for that one, because there's going to be a lot more work involved in that one. But yeah, getting funding in this country, though,
I think again, we keep saying it. Terry McMahon made a film for €985. Relying totally on the generosity of strangers.
That was Charlie Casanova.
Yeah. And but when you look at these things and you understand that the government keep talking about Culture Ireland and the big increase in the budget, it does seem to me that they have increased the budget, but they've increased the budget to spend on talking about increasing the budget. They're spending more money campaigning to show how much money they're spending.
But when you see what's drawn people in cinema in general, when you see what's drawing people to Ireland, it is actually films that are shot here, stuff that's shot here. You have Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You have Star Wars. These things are drawing people to this country. So anything that gets Ireland on film, shows Ireland.
There's a new one starting up down, I think they've already started shooting it down in Limerick. It's another TV series based on a George R.R. Martin book. So that's going to be another thing that's going to last, 7 or 8 years, or however long Game of Thrones is after the last one. So, yeah, it's definitely a good thing for our country. And
I have to say, to my eternal shame, I haven't seen a single episode of Game of Thrones. Not one.
You're falling behind the rest
I
of us.
don't do box sets. Couldn't be bothered.
And if I ever met George R.R. Martin, I'd knock the head off and finish the books, you lazy fucking...
he hasn't been very nice to the book readers, has he? He's kind of shot ahead with the TV series and left them.
I think he decided he'd go off and live the high life once HBO started paying him a few bucks.
Started rolling in.
Ching makes a lot of difference.
Well, you know what the two lads, Benioff and Wise, who were the showrunners, they had to go to his house and say, "Listen, tell us how it ends, because we don't think you're going to finish the books before you die." So that's how drastic it is for book readers like myself who endured every page and are literally like a fiend going, "Come on, now, put it out."
Were you reading those books before the TV show even started?
Yeah. No, but I won't say I knew the series was coming, that way, and So when Ned's head came off, I knew, but it still was great. It was great TV,
There's a spoiler for you there.
Don't mind.
Completely over my head. All of it's just.
There's a guy called Ned.
If someone could live tweet the show, he'd get it. He can only read 140 characters at a time, anyway. No, but so it is. But the arts is a real problem here. We have. I know we've bigger crises. We've got housing, we've health, we've education, we've all of these things that we constantly talk about on the podcast here. But culture matters, arts matters, and these things you're putting stuff out into the world for better or worse. I know you got a bit of a kicking off some people who are
certain people who shall remain nameless, I think.
I know, friends of the pod. We're all friends of the pod.
I did. I got a kicking from a certain known actor who may or may not have won an IFTA at some point this year. That's all I would say.
Listen, I met the man, gave him a big hug.
No, but he didn't like the film, and that's fine. It's when you make a film called Repeal, that's very one-sided. I've made no qualms about the fact my film is one-sided right from day one. He didn't like the film all that much, and he tore it a new one online, which is fine. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. It's art. Some are going to like it, some aren't. But then he kind of took it to his own page and started holding it out for everyone to see, saying, "Hey, look at this film. It's the worst piece of shit I've ever seen, ever."
Yeah.
And after him talking about, how art and creativity has helped him with his own mental health issues. And I myself have a lot of mental health issues as well. I've suffered from depression and anxiety and things like that for years. And that he kind of, after saying things like that during the speech and then going on and attacking other people's creativity and art, that kind of felt like
but I have to say too,
I'm not sure what the words is. I'm looking for a very hypocritical move from him.
When I know here when we do a pod and we stick it out there, I'm ready for the criticism, whatever comes, it comes. And it's not.
No doubt.
I completely expect it.
Yeah, well, Martin, you're I said to you, I think it was on our second episode, I said it's very hard to troll a troll. And I think that's fairly clear. I do know what you mean. When you put something out there, you are literally
absolutely
expose yourself. And I know from firsthand that I was a big time fan. The trolls loved me on the comment sections. I got plenty of doings, but at the same time, I think you kind of got to. But this is just me. I had to learn to look at it and say, well, thank God I'm getting some reaction.
Well,
because if I wasn't getting a reaction at all, it wasn't worth doing it.
Of course.
So you have to.
I've always said, if I'm pissing off the pro-lifers in this film and I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
I also have to say that the repeal and with other movements that have in recent times in Ireland, it has brought people together who wouldn't normally be together. And it's very creative. There's a very creative process involved where, you know, people who wouldn't normally meet each other are now meeting each other and discussing. And that's great. It politicizes people. It moves them forward. It's also great in a creative sense in that ideas are put together, projects are formed. I mean, none of us is an island. We don't work alone. There are other people who help us out. You know,
that's the thing. Yeah, especially in filmmaking, it's never a one-person job. It's a group of passionate people that it takes.
And I think there's a very much community effort involved in putting stuff together. Yeah. Very much community effort involved.
Yeah, but that whole issue though, fuck it, it's John Connor, so everyone knows who I'm talking about anyway. That it just felt like because that went beyond the repeal issue. It turned into a mental health issue then. That he had spoken out in such a good way about it, but then a few months later he shat all over other people's creativity in a way, like because being creative helps me as well. It keeps my mind occupied. It keeps my mind away from the bad thoughts. It gives me something to focus on and things like that. And when you go on record or you speak out publicly and say it's the worst piece of shit you've ever seen, it kind of, you know, it would, my confidence certainly took a knock over. Now I'm not going to let what he said stop me, or I'm still going to keep moving forward. But I just think he should have thought about it a little more, about how he was.
I can't speak for John. I watched the film. I enjoyed the film. As I said to you, when that visceral scream it comes on, in that I think I had to hit the mute button to let that play out.
Sure.
So that was enough of a reaction for me to
But it was there. It's there for a purpose. It's not there to entertain. It's there for.
Well, that's exactly it. I think that was like John was kind of reacting to it as though it was like I was saying before, the films are made to entertain people, and that was his main criticisms of it, was, you know, that it wasn't very visually good and things like that. But when you make a film with no budget, you're not going. It was never meant to be cinematic or pretty or entertaining. It was made with one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to show the dangers of the Eighth Amendment, and that was it. And I feel like I have achieved that. I've made a film because we have received a lot of messages to the page from women that I've never heard of before in my life, writing to our page, thanking us for making it and sharing with us their stories and saying and telling us how it's reached out to them and how that they understand now that it's not just something that they went through, that other people go through the same thing.
Well, I think I've heard somebody, maybe it was Tara said that so many women who don't feel in a position to tell their stories, but that your piece, her play, it so resonates with women who then very quietly make contact and say, thank you, this is me, this is talking about me, my issues. And I've heard that from a few people back. So, you know, if there is a silent group in this country, the silent group is the women who don't feel they can speak out.
Yeah.
And that really, I mean, the silent group that's affected is those women.
Well, the good news is things like Not a Guitar Show, Not a Funny Word, the book Autonomy, and your film are helping to break that taboo. We had Jan O'Sullivan, very lucky to have Jan in here several months ago, and she was one of the people who went on the Ireland Twitter account and spoke about her experiences, and you know, she became the person who they attacked all week on as the campaign against it. But you know what? I think the kickback showed that people are the shock tactics aren't going to work this time. Jan didn't back down. The guys in this room aren't backing down, and we're gonna go and do this thing. That's my.
There's really not long left. There's really not long left.
No, so 5 weeks out.
Gotta make your minds up. Gotta make decisions, and most of all, get up off your arse and go out and vote.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a couple of seconds is all it takes, but you'll make a world of difference. For some people, you will make a world.
Especially the guys that think this is a woman's issue. Let them take care of it themselves. They're voting. They need to get up off their ass and get out as well. Especially those people. You know, it's such an important referendum. Ireland took a huge step forward with the marriage equality referendum, and it should be the same now with this one as well. Like, if you know, it's the only way we're going to move forward as a country, and to start trusting our women listening to them and trusting them to, or an understanding that it's about a lot more than just a right to life issue. It's about a right for healthcare for these women as well, both physically and mentally. So that's what people need to understand.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate you coming in, and look forward to your
my feature.
Your feature.
I am too. Yeah. I'll be starting working that one in the next few weeks. So
if you need someone with a raspy voice and a bad attitude.
Never know. Maybe John Connors will be in it. Might get lucky there. So
I tell you, I'm on the record. John's a good guy.
I have no doubt.
But we're not going to agree on everything. And I have to tell you, we can all give up criticisms, but you know what? I like the film. I enjoyed the film.
I appreciate it.
12 minutes, 45 seconds. Watch it. Share it. We're going to tweet it out after this. We're going to put it on the thing. We're going to make the same appeal, guys, lads. We usually do the big appeal, say give us a subscribe, rate, review. But you know what? Go on, get behind Together for Yes. Absolutely, make sure you throw your thing in. And
Lads for Choice as well.
Lads for Choice. There we go. So lads, do support it. Do get out there and do your best. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.